Hello chickies and welcome to the Fully Booked Penguin channel. I am Hannah and today we are looking over 26 book series that I am continuing in 2026. Alright, so I have a total of 26 books here. Most of them are just continuing series, a couple are picking up series, but mostly it's just continuing what we've started in previous years. And some of them I can attempt to finish, wrap up completely, and others are ongoing series. So I won't finish it in 2026, but at least I can go through the backlog or the new releases for said series. Now, a lot of these are manga, manhwa, and light novels. They are just what make me happy. I would say I like a fantasy series, but I don't think I really read that many. Usually I have trilogies or whatever. But in recent times I've preferred standalones. But I do have a few fantasy series and then some Christian fiction and mysteries. Those are what we're going to have. I think mostly it is manhwa. And I want to connect with more manhwa readers, to be honest. Also, yes, I'm wearing a Christmas t-shirt. It's Tweety and a little Christmas hat. Just peeking over. When I'm filming this, it's 3 sleeps till Christmas. So I'm filming this early because I want a little break over New Year's / Christmas. Alright, let me just shuffle around a huge pile of books here. A couple of the series are digital, but most are physical. I have them here. Okay, to start off this video, we are diving into historical fiction. I have a total of 3 series I am continuing. And I'm going to be continuing Anne of Green Gables, and we're up to Anne's House of Dreams, which is book 5 in the series by L.M. Montgomery. There's a total of 8 books in the series, and I do want to finish it up this coming year. 2026 is the year to finish Anne. Anne of Green Gables follows Anne, who is an orphan. She is adopted by an old brother and sister duo, and she causes mischief and mayhem, but all with a kind heart. She doesn't mean to. She's just really chatty, and it just ends up sometimes getting her in trouble. But as you go through the series, she is growing up, so you go through different stages of her life, new friends, new relationship. And this one that I'm up to is the beginning of her married life, which is her finding a new house and everything, obviously, as it is Anne's House of Dreams. Book number 5 in an 8-book series for that one. The next series that I'm going to be tackling is technically just standalones by Jane Austen. So I have only 3 left to read. Well, I think I'm going to just skip over her incomplete Sanditon one, but here are the 3 I haven't read, and they are Northanger Abbey, Emma, and Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. So each of these follows a different female character and really showcases the family dynamics in Pride and Prejudice. I don't know whether it's Regency era. They each cover social commentary and family dynamics and sort of moral dilemmas of different female MCs and their surrounding company. They each do have a romance, but some of them I feel aren't really that romantic. Take my opinion of Mansfield Park. Let's not talk about that. So we've got those 3 left for that series. And finally we have the Billabong series by Mary Grant Bruce. It is an Australian historical fiction. We're up to Jim and Wally, which is book 5, and it is a 15-book series. We're about to book 5. In this we are following mainly a daughter of like a station master. So they have sheep and cattle and horses and really outback Australian in the early 1900s. And in this one we're in the First World War. And so her brother and her brother's best friend, they are off to war. They're fighting for the English side, because in the previous book we went from Billabong, which is where they live, to London, and the boys enlisted. And so we're gonna have war vibes. And if you don't know me, I get anxious over war things, but I also feel it's important to read about and learn about what happened in the First and Second World War, because it's prevalent to patterns of today, let's just say. So yeah, Jim and Wally is where we're up to. 15 books in the series. am I going to cry on this one? 100%. So that isn't the last of the historical fictions that I'm going to read this year. Next up on my little trusty run sheet is fantasy. The first two I have here are actually buddy read series. So me and a friend are reading one every single weekday, and the other every weekend we read 5 chapters of that series. So the series we're reading 1 chapter each weekday is the Harry Potter series, and we are up to number 5. There's a lot of 5s. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. For those who are following with my Harry Potter journey, I made it partway through this book and just couldn't go any further. And it was on that stage for a year or more. And finally, my other local friend said, hey, why don't we buddy read it? Because I've never read it, you've never read it, and now we have the joy of reading it and sussing out and seeing what we were not or were missing all these years. The first ones were okay. I think the ending of book 3 started my not so much enjoyment of the series. Then book 4 really dragged in the first half, and then it picked up a bit because it was the first half and it was like dragging so much, and Harry was making horrible decisions and all that. When I see this, I'm not exactly excited for it. It is the biggest book in the series though. I think everyone knows what Harry Potter is. I don't think I have to explain it, do I? Kid finds out he's a wizard, has magic, goes to a school. The school is an OHS problem, and people might be trying to kill him. That's the gist of the entire series. Look, I don't know if we'll finish it in the year, the series, probably. If we really do read every weekday, then we should be able to finish this series. But we may be daunted by whatever this is. So that is the first of our fantasy. Then our other buddy read, which is our weekend buddy read, 5 chapters each week, is the Throne of Glass series. And we are up to Queen of Shadows, which is book, well, I say it's book 5 because I've already read the prequels. And I consider that book, Assassin's Blade, as a book. So this is book 5 of the series. We're following Selena, who is trained as an assassin, and a lot has happened since book 1. It's really not relevant. If I told you the plot of this one, you'd say, how did we get here from there? But I think we are back at the castle in this one, so maybe there's more in common. And we're also following a prince who I think is in dire trouble at this point in time. We are following a guard who I think unfortunately will face torture and mayhem in this one, and we're following a witch who I don't particularly like. And we're also following a fae guy who I call Gramps because he's 1,000 billion years old. It's a series, but it is very YA. As in, some of the themes are mature, so I wouldn't suggest it for young YA, but then the writing style sometimes feels YA. Emotional maturity and brains just aren't there. After this one, we have 3 more books, and if you've seen whatever the last one is, it's even bigger than this. Dare say it's even bigger than this. There's a lot going to happen this year, and I don't think finishing the series is in it, but maybe we will. Maybe we'll just love it, and I'll be begging my friend to read 10 chapters a week. Sarcasm. Next up, we have Magifed Supernatural City series by K.M. Shea. So I have been going through, this series is technically collections of trilogies. So the first one was, I'm blanking on the first series. I don't know, but it's about mages and vampires. Then we have Court of Midnight and Deception, which is about fae. Then we have trilogy number 3, which is Pack of Dawn and Destiny, which is about werewolf and then hunter, like werewolf hunter. And in this 4th one that I'm up to, which is Magic on Main Street, we are following a vampire slayer and a vampire. And the first book in this trilogy is The Lives of Vampires and Slayers, is book 1. of this trilogy. And then I'll move into the final trilogy of the Magic Supernatural City series, which is Gate of Myth and Power. That will be the final wrap-up. So technically 6 books left in that series, but it's the first one of this trilogy that I'm up to. I haven't started that. Yeah, so we're following a vampire hunter and a vampire in this one. I don't know anything else. I like to go in completely blind, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. The next fantasy I get to is Narnia by C.S. Lewis. And in this, we are following many different adventures through the world of Narnia. It's kind of a classic children's middle grade series. I wasn't sure whether to put this in the Christian fiction section or not, so I just put it in fantasy because it's got themes that are definitely you can relate to Christianity. But if you were just reading it with no understanding of Christianity or God, you wouldn't pick up on the themes, I don't think. There are 7 books in this series, and I am up to the 6th one, The Silver Chair. I remember me liking this one, but we know my and my memory don't often get along. So we have The Silver Chair, and then we have The Last Battle. And they're the final 2 in this series, so I really want to wrap it up and complete that one all together. The next series is The Elven Alliance by Tara Grace. I don't know whether it's Grace or Gracie. I think I'm saying Gracie. From now on, I will say Grace. So this is technically book 1. It's the only physical one I have so far. But the one I'm up to is technically book 3, which is Deathwind. There are a total of 9 books in the series. They do switch couples part of the way through, though. At the moment, we're following Essie and Farandel, who enter a marriage alliance. However, there is tension between the elves and the humans, and then the trolls to the north are attacking the elves, but there might be some traitors in the humans that are working with the trolls, and a lot of mayhem and war happening. But they get married to try and ease this tension between the elves and the humans, because the elves actually are worried that they'll get wiped out if they have to fight the humans and the trolls at the same time. There's a lot of PTSD rep, as well as, yeah, just elven and troll and magic and all those sort of vibes. So it has humour, but then it waylays with the more serious subjects as well. So it's not a goofy, fun time. I say that line a lot. It's not a goofy time. Goofy, fun time. So up to book 3 out of 9 for that series. And finally, I want to continue the Ranger's Apprentice series by John Flanagan. This is book 4, Oakleaf Bearers. Now, the thing to know about the Ranger's Apprentice series is that I only read up to 1 point because I didn't like the way the author took the story. It started getting worse the later it got, and yeah, I didn't agree with some of the changes and some of the plot twists. Let's just put it that way. He seems to hate women, but I like the earlier ones. So I do have to figure out what number it is that I go to before I cut off and come up with a happy ever after in my own head. But in this, we're following Will mainly, and then some of his friends. And he is trained as a ranger, which are sneaky little archer people. And they tend to work alone or in very small groups because they can, infiltrate or lead people or, do all that sneaky stuff. In this one, I believe we are captured by the Vikings or trying to escape them. So that's where we're up to in Ranger's Apprentice. Book 4 out of technically 11. Okay, next up I have Mysteries. I have 4 series in the Mysteries that I want to continue and 1 to begin. So let's get right into it. First up we have Trixie Belden. I am up to book 5 again. Again with number 5. It is Trixie Belden and the Mystery of Glen Road. In this, we are following Trixie, who is a young sleuth, and she works with her neighbours and brothers to just solve these little mysteries. It's a middle grade series. The mysteries are just short and pretty easy to understand at my age. Believe it or not, I am not a middle grader, but I really love the series. As a kid, I devoured them. When I was that age, I loved them so much. So now I'm doing a little read-through for the nostalgia factor. There are a total of 39 Trixie Belden mysteries. So we're up to number 5 for that one. Then we have Nancy Drew. We're up to book 4. And it is The Mystery of Lilac Inn. This is the Nancy Drew Mystery Story series by Carolyn Keene. They each follow a new mystery, but we are following Nancy Drew, who is a young teenage sleuth. And she fights crime. Usually she checks in with her dad, who is a lawyer, and she has friends that she works with along the way too. Wherever she goes, she seems to just stumble upon a little mystery, as these teen sleuths always did. Again, it's another middle grade, so it's really quick and fast, but full of nostalgia for me and many, many others. Then next up we have the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. We are up to number 2, which is Killer Instinct. There's a total of 4 books in this series. I read the first one. Other than the love triangle, I managed to figure out who the big bad guy was, as I was pretty chuffed with myself. And it's a rather fast pace, but it is a YA, probably upper YA story. There are moments where you get in the mind of the killer, because we are following Casey, who is an analyst. No, she's, I don't know, programmer, profiler, not a programmer. Someone else in the team is a programmer, I believe. Anyway, but they are natural teenagers who are sponsored by the FBI to solve cold cases, and most of the time they become current cases. And we're up to, the second one. And I'm hoping the love triangle ceases to be a love triangle, because it was so cringe. Like, one minute she's kissing this bloke, then she's suddenly kissing this bloke. And I'm just... Is it my favourite? Probably not. But I have the entire series, so I may as well read them all. And let the people know my thoughts on them. And there we go. 2 of 4 for Jennifer Lynn Barnes, the Natural series. And finally, we get to a new one. Brand new. And that is the Mr. and Mrs. Darcy Mysteries. And we're starting with Pride and Peril. And it is by Carrie Beperis. I found this in the shops, and it looked intriguing. This series pretty much follows Elizabeth and Darcy as they are newlyweds, and the crimes start happening around them, and it deals with characters that go throughout the entire series. This one obviously is Pride and Prejudice, but they call it Pride and Peril. I believe this is like a reprint / redo of the series, because originally it was called something else. Pride and Prescience. Originally published in 2016, but this is the 2004 version. So it's nothing new, but I saw it and I was intrigued. I thought it would be fun to follow the Darcys as they solve mysteries. The next one that I know of is called Suspense and Sensibility, which is obviously Sense and Sensibility. But yeah, I thought I'd try it out. I know there's 2 in the series at the very least, so it intrigued me. But yeah, we're going to start this series and hopefully make our way through at least to number 2, if not beyond. And that wraps up on our mystery series. Alright, finally we get to the biggest pile. Manga, manhwa, and light novels. First up, we'll do the mangas. So I am reading and continuing in 2026 Skip Beat, which is a shoujo manga by Yoshiki Nakamura, and it is following Kyoko, who is betrayed by a childhood friend who she liked, and in order to gain revenge, she joins the showbiz because he is a famous singer, and she can't sing, so she joins the acting side of the biz. However, she runs into Suruga Ren, who isn't appreciative of her joining simply for revenge, but she proves that she's actually a natural, and she begins to see the fun and the joyous side of acting and creating her own characters. I'm up to volume 22. I collect the 3-in-1s. And I believe we're up to, 43 or more chapters. I didn't actually look it up. At the moment, it is an ongoing manga series. Who knows when it will end? But hopefully at some point. Similar to our next manga. It would be great if it would wrap up before, the unfortunate end of the mangaka. Because I want to see everything wrapped up nicely. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, Skip Beat, I love it. It was the first manga series I ever started collecting. Out of the 2 that I collect. And it's just my favourite, therefore I got the physical version. I've read tons of manga, but this one was worthy of collection. And that's when you know it's top tier manga for me. So there goes, Skip Beat. 22 and beyond for this year. Next up, we have Yarn of the Dawn by Mizuho Kusanagi. And I am up to volume 32. In this one, we are following Yona, who is a princess. She's rather naive in the very beginning, but soon very quickly has to change and mature and learn a lot of skills because her father, the king, is killed and her throne is usurped, or, the king's throne, and she has to run away with her bodyguard Huck in order to not be killed. And she very quickly decides to collect these dragon people, of which there are 4, and she also picks up some other allies, but she sets out to help her country because the wool is taken away from her eyes, so to speak. The veil is lifted, and she discovers how poorly her father may have been running the country, and so she sets out to help her people to recover and find new ways of defeating enemies and all that, all while trying to hide from the usurper king as well. Now, Year of the Dawn is coming to a close with, I believe volume 46 is the final in the series, but don't quote me on that. It might be a couple more. But yeah, it is finishing, and it was announced, it has a season 1 of an anime, but it was announced just recently, like just 2 days ago, that we're going to get a season 2 of the anime, which we are all celebrant of, because I believe it's been 10 or so years since season 1. So now we finally get season 2. We hope they do just as good a job at following the manga in the anime, just as season 1 did. I mean, were there a few things missing? Yes, but for an anime adaptation, it did it really well. So I'm so excited for season 2 and to read the rest of the series. But it is an anxiety time sometimes. But I know the good guys should hopefully come out on top in the very end. But yeah, it's so cute. So hard-hitting in places. Emotional. Sad. Kick your little feet at the romance in it. Oh, top tier romance. Top tier friends to lovers. I love it. We have 5 manhwas. Another series I will be continuing in 2026 is Villains Are Destined to Die by Hongjoong, and the art is by Suol. So here we are up to number, all say it together with me, 5. There is currently 8 physical ones out, with more planned, no doubt. But in this series we are following Penelope, who is a real world person, ends up in the gaming world as the villainess. Penelope, it is a gaming world, so in the villainess hard mode, you pretty much die at every turn. Every single interest or that tries to kill you as well, and it's just death and mayhem. So she knows she can't make a mistake or she will be dead. So she tries to survive in this world that is trying to kill her. And it makes you hate so many characters. You're just there cheering for Penelope, and I am cheering for the Crown Prince too. If you know Callisto, I am cheering on that line too. But yeah, we're up to number 5 out of 8 plus volumes. But next up we have Father, I Don't Want This Marriage. And this one is by Hong Hee-soo, adapted by Yuri, and the art is by Roel. We're up to volume 3. And in this we are following, well, technically it's a girl finds herself inside a book and she knows that in the future she's going to die. And in that future she is falsely accused of poisoning someone. She gets thrown in this prison. Her father doesn't help her out at all. In fact, he just gives her this knife. She's like, oh, I see what you want me to do, father, who's kind of estranged from me. So she goes into this prison, and as she sits there contemplating how she's never going to escape, the bloody Crown Prince comes to visit, and he is known to be ruthless and violent. And so she may choose the easy way out, which is technically the hard way out. However, our girl wants to avoid that. She immediately breaks it off with this Marquess that she has an engagement to, and she's like, yeah, we're not gonna get married. And she tells her dad, I'm not gonna get married to him. He's like, okay, let me find you someone more suitable. He's actually celebrating inside. He might be a little misunderstood. He might have a few things going on, poor papa. So we're just following Juvelian as she befriends her father's underling, who looks very much like someone we may know from the alternate universe future. But I won't tell you who. She strikes up a friendship with him, offers him a bodyguard position. The father is fighting against the evil king, alongside his little underling. So nice. I love the father-daughter vibes, really. Just, you're like, how adorable. I mean, look. I don't know if you can see, but cute. Adorable. Currently I have 5 volumes. I believe there's a total of 8, at least, in the plans. So, yeah, I'll continue with that cute one. Then, the next one I'm going to be continuing with, which I don't have the one I'm up to because it releases in 2026. So I'm up to date with this series, but I will be continuing it as they release ones whenever they do. So I am talking about A Stepmother's Mansion. This is volume 5, which I just completed not long ago, and we're up to volume 6. In this we are following Shuri, who was... it's a long story with Shuri. She's been through some stuff, but she marries this Marquez, who marries her simply so that when he dies, she can take over until his son is of age. And so he has 4 children. She comes in as their stepmother and helps take care of them and keep an eye on the political situation. There's a lot happening. However, in the past, she may have actually already lived through life once, and she died at the end. And time looped back. And she is determined to do things differently, because the first one, she was kind of estranged from her children too. And a lot of political things happened, and she thought she could do better this second time through. So we're just following her as she does that. It's not like somewhere they just know what's going to happen, so they're always on top of it. Unknowns crop up, and their relationships change, and because the relationship changed, other things change. So it's very quick to go off what she expects. But she's expectant of it going off. She expects the unexpected, which means she no longer unexpected. But anyway, it's very historical, political, this one, with a dash of romance or just found family and those sort of themes that I love and adore, and I know a lot of others do too. So yeah, we're up to volume 6. It's already released on Webtoon, but I read it when it comes out in its physical form, so that means I have to wait until it's printed and released. But yeah, we're up to number 6 for that series. Who Made Me a Princess? And it is by Plutus. The illustrations are by Spoon, and I am up to volume 2 of the series. I believe there's 9 physical copies released at the moment, and I'm just up to the second. I'm buying them as I proceed to make sure I like it. The first one was sort of just an introduction, so I'm sure there's lots of growth to go from here. This follows a young princess who I believe is another isekai, i.e. real world to fictional world, and she wakes up as this neglected princess of this emperor, and she's trying to survive because she's just a little girl, so she has to bring allies to her side, but also look completely innocent in order to not be killed, because if you excel too much, dead. If you don't excel at all, dead. She has to find a middle zone where her father won't kill her. Volume 2, and ongoing with this one. The final manhwa on my list, I'm actually starting a new series, and that is Marriage of Convenience. And this is written, like the original story, by Ken. He's just Ken. And then the art is by Ant Studio, and it's adapted by Han Hun. But yeah, this is volume 1. I am just beginning our series. I believe in Webtoon it's completed, and they're actually doing a spin-off series, maybe about a character that's at the end of this one. But in this, we are following a countess who's obviously married to a count, but she's not a very good wife. And it comes back to bite her in the end, and so she time loops, and she decides she's going to live differently. She's going to love her husband, support her family and her people in her area, in her lands, and she has a lot of political turmoil because of it. But along with her husbando, I believe it's an arranged marriage. Marriage of Convenience would make sense. And yeah, so we're up to volume 1. I believe there are at least 3 planned, but yeah, this is the only one that's released of the paperback version. But there's going to be more released throughout 2026, so I will continue collecting if I enjoy the story, which I highly suspect I will. I haven't been showing you the artwork examples, but this is one of my favorites. Honestly, they all are. And finally, we get into light novels. For those who come to my channel often, this first one will become a zero surprise to you, because I have an agenda, and it involves this series and me wanting others to read it. So that is Loud of Count's Family. It does have another name, can't think of it right now, but this is the 7 Seas edition, and it is written by Yu Rahan. It is a Korean fantasy light novel, and the one I am up to is volume 4, and it follows Kale, who is another isekai bloke, but he finds himself in the really sub-villain of a series who ends up getting beaten up by the male lead early on in the novel series. And he has only read up to 5 of the web novel series, and he doesn't know what happens after that, but he knows up to number 5. So he knows that he's going to be beaten up, and he doesn't want to. He's like, no, I want to live a rich, loutish life without war and all the fights and getting beaten up. No pain, please and thank you. So he comes off as really selfish, really. But he's not, because along the way he collects allies, and excuse the bumping if you can hear it, but along the way he collects allies and defeats bad guys and stocks up his wealth and his powers. And is it one where he's a little overpowered? 100%, and I love it for it. Love it for it. I will mention it a little later, that plot thing again, but yes, 100% love it. It's humorous, it's lovable, the side characters are unique, but you can feel their adoration for the selfish, not so selfish Kale Hennitus. Anyway, so yes, we're up to number 4. I believe there are currently plans of 8 at least novels being released, but there'll be more. That's just where it's up to in announced volumes from 7 Seas. Okay, this one is technically, I've counted with the other because it's the same series, just different format. And that is Villains Are Destined to Die by Kwon Kyo-eun. And this is the Korean light novel fantasy about, the girl in the gaming world. So this is actually volume 1 of it. I believe there's at least 3 you can pre-order, but this is the only one that's released. At least from where I buy it. It might be out in other countries, but where you can get it from Australia, it is, just this one out so far. It's so pretty. I love pretty covers. I'm a sucker for pretty covers. So there you go. I don't need to say much about it because I already... Callisto's in this, but in text form. So I'm excited to see that. But yeah, volume 1, more to come. Yeah, starting the light novel on top of the manhwa. Next up, we have Solo Leveling by Hongjoong. Again, another lit RPG, fantasy, light novel, Korean. In this one, we are following Sung Jin-woo, who is a hunter, and so they go into these dungeons as a group and fight these enemies to collect these different things from the creatures. It's a lit RPG, treasure hunting world. And I have actually read this one, so I'm up to volume 2, and there are a total of 8 out in paperback form, I believe. So yeah, I'm up to volume 2. It is a bit more gory than my usual books, but I love a character who, again, can defeat the bad guys really, really easy. And this is one of those series. But yeah, it's quite gory. It's got some more mature themes, so I wouldn't say it's for a young audience. And he's actually the worst hunter. He's the lowest rank. But an incident might happen, and he finds out he can start leveling up on his own. Only he has this skill. Everyone else is stuck at whatever rank they are. But he starts leveling up. So yeah, that is Solo Leveling. And the final one of the light novels is Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, or ORV, as the online people call it, and it is by Sing and Song. And this is, volume 1, but I'm actually up to volume 2, which is going to be released in 2026. In this one, we are following a guy who reads a novel on the interwebs, and he's the only reader. When the web novel reaches the end, he's the only reader of it. And very quickly he finds that is a good thing, because he finds himself in the book, pretty much. The world warps into the book. So it's almost like he had future sight. So he discovers he's in an apocalyptic world, and they are ordered to start killing each other. So very Hunger Games-esque, but not quite. Again, it's a bit lit RPG. They can level up things and get new skills and have sponsors and all that. It's like a big game show that this goblins and stuff run. It's a very complex system that we're just learning about. But our main character, because he read the book, he has some advantages, and he knows what's coming and what the different tests are going to be, so he can protect himself and those he decides to ally himself with. Again, it is a situation where he knows everything, so he becomes super duper powerful and doesn't do anything wrong. And I saw a review that said, they were like, why would you want to read a book where the main character has no struggle? They just do everything right. I am said person who would love to see that, because if this didn't have him winning, it would be too gory and too stressful for me. I would avoid it because I hate those, like, Hunger-esque, kill everyone kind of situations and scenarios. But because he knows everything, he can protect him and his crew. So it's not as bad. It's still gory. Still usually out of my zone. But because he wins at everything, it's like, wow, I don't have to get stressed because he's going to win. So I enjoy it. I enjoy this kind of thing. But it's very complex plot and world that you're learning alongside the character. And you are trying to figure out, oh, why is it this way? Even though he knows. You don't know as the reader. And I like it. So yeah, anyway, so I'm up to volume 2 of Orv, or Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by Sing & Song. And that was our last light novel. Alright, last and definitely not least, we have Christian. And why did I not say fiction is because the first series on my list is not fiction. It's faction. It's history, really. It is the Bible. So this year I started reading a chapter of the Bible every single night before bed. I just read a little chapter. And I have reached Leviticus. And so I am in Leviticus, and obviously I'll just keep continuing a chapter a night as I go through the rest of the Bible. I read it on my phone app, actually, but I have several different Bibles that I can read the physical version. This is just my first ever Bible. It's so small. So I don't know how far a chapter a day will get me through the Bible, but I can plan to continue doing that. I want to just improve my Bible reading and prayer commitments, life with the Lord. So it's an important one that's going to continue no matter what, every single day. Lord willing. I mean, if the Lord returns, then I will just worship with him. And that is the only thing that would stop me. But even then, I don't know. Will we read the Bible in heaven, or will we... Things of the past will cease to be. So I guess we won't need the Bible anymore because we'll have direct relationship. Anyway, so next up we have the Young Underground series by Robert Elmer. And this is book 3 that I'm up to, which is Into the Flames. This is a Christian middle grade fiction, but it is set in the Second World War. There are a total of 8 books in this series as well. I love series that have 8 in it, or 8 at the moment for some of them. I really enjoy this series. It's really good at having a few faith elements, but really just showcasing a few stories that are set in the time period of, obviously, the Second World War. And they're in Denmark, which is under German occupation. And it's following these 2 kids. In the first 2 books, they're 11-year-olds. And I don't know how old they are in this one, but we'll be continuing and hopefully finishing this series. I just think it's really good read, especially for parents reading to their probably older children. But yeah, there we go. I definitely want to continue that one. And finally, we have the Huntress series by Carrie Cotton. I don't have the physical books. I'm going to say I'm up to the Viking. I'm meant to read it this month. We still have days. I might finish it this month, but I might not. So I'm going to say we're up to the Viking, which is book 2. But there are currently 4 books in the series. And it is a Christian medieval fiction. There's no magic or anything, and it definitely has, Christian themes to it. And each one follows a new couple. So it does have a bit of romance. Probably more than I thought it would have, because at least with the first book, it's really centered around the relationship between these 2 people, which I found mildly frustrating, but I do want to continue the series to see if the other couples are more my personal favorites. So that is continuing the Huntress series, and that brings us to a wrap on the 26th series I'm continuing mostly, or starting in 2026. I'm sure there'll be a billion other ones as well, because these books aren't the only ones I'm going to be reading, and they're definitely not the only ones on my TBR. I have many other series that I could read as well, but these are the ones I kind of want to prioritize for this year. You should see all the books on the floor right now. There's piles. Let me know down below in the comments whether you are starting, continuing any favorite series of your own. Give me suggestions if you want, whether it's manhwa, light novels, mystery, fantasy, anything really. I read a whole range outside of these sort of themes as well. Be sure to subscribe for more videos and like the video if you enjoyed, so I know what kind of videos you like to see. And until next time, peace.
ATINYログ